So what's going to happen here, I think this is my prediction for the year, and I've been saying this for a while now, but we're going to see all this institutional money, all these countries are going to get into Bitcoin. It's going to scream up here. It's going to slowly keep going up over the summer. It's going to shoot up in the fall. And by that time, that's when people will start opening their minds and opening their ears to it. And it'll be too late at that point. I mean, not too late, but they're going to miss out on a lot of wealth that they could have had by simply taking a little bit of time, opening the mind up a little bit, taking a little bit of time, trying to learn this thing. And even if they don't understand it right now, just buying some, getting some exposure to this thing. And that's kind of what I want to end the show with today, is that with all this happening here, it's pretty clear that Bitcoin's not going away. It's pretty clear that because of the supply and demand nature and the market aspect of Bitcoin, the value and the price of Bitcoin will continue to go up. It's not a secret. It's not a prediction. It's just what's happening right now. So with that, because that's happening, because all of these big institutions, these countries are getting into Bitcoin, they're going to want to control it. They're going to do everything that they can to try to control Bitcoin. They can't stop it. They're going to try to control it. And so that's why the title of the show is Come and Get It. Because I really want you to understand the fact that if you do things right here in Bitcoin, if you take the time and you learn about Bitcoin and you buy Bitcoin, you earn some Bitcoin, and you learn how to store that Bitcoin properly, there's nothing that they can do to take that Bitcoin from you. Once you get to that point of understanding within Bitcoin that there's nothing that they can do other than kill you. And even then, if you got the 12 words in your head, there's nothing they can do about it. So once you get to that level of understanding of Bitcoin, it changes everything. And that's what I want you to work towards here in terms of your Bitcoin journey. So I got 5 things here for people. And this is for people who aren't into Bitcoin yet and for people who are into Bitcoin right now. So the first step of action, I like doing these actionable steps because I think that that's the actual valuable part of these shows. I mean, I can talk about Bitcoin till I'm blue in the face, but if you're actually don't have any sort of roadmap or plan in place, then you're just going to keep, filtering information in here and being excited about Bitcoin. But then when the time comes and they show up at your house and try to take your Bitcoin, you're not going to be in a good spot. So this is my steps for everybody here. Number 1, buy/earn Bitcoin. Get as much Bitcoin as you possibly can. And that includes Bitcoin, physical Bitcoin or actual Bitcoin in self-custody, and the ETF. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of BlackRock. I don't love what's happening there with the central, where they're trying to control Bitcoin and what's going to come from that possibly. But if you're somebody who does have a bunch of your capital, your life savings in the old system, without having to jump through 100 hoops, because if you're going to try to take that out, you're going to pay tax, you're going to pay fees. It's going to be a nightmare to try to convert that into Bitcoin. And for most people, that's way too daunting for them. So start with the ETF and make sure that you get it into a TFSA or some sort of tax-free savings account that you can use, whether that's in US, Canada. I don't know what the US equivalent is for that. But get some Bitcoin in self-custody, whatever you have, like in terms of cash flow that you've already paid taxes on that's out of the old system, buy Bitcoin with that, self-custody. Any money in the old system tied up in the S&P, in bonds, in your pension, buy the Bitcoin ETF with that. The second one here is that if you are somebody who just bought Bitcoin for the first time, let's say you got $10,000 in a GIC savings account right now, you buy some Bitcoin. The one thing I would say is that don't overwhelm yourself. Start, if you have a small, let's say you got $1,000, just start with the Moon wallet. Buy some Bitcoin on the exchange, send it to the Moon wallet, leave it there for a little while. If you have a larger amount, say $10,000, buy the Bitcoin and send it to, get a BitKey. That's what I'm going to recommend for people who are just getting into Bitcoin right now and aren't very familiar with the whole self-custody model yet and how to store your keys. I would use the BitKey. So that's one of Block's products, actually. It's a new Bitcoin device where essentially you hold one of the keys and there's 2 other companies that hold one other key. And it's basically impossible for you to lose your Bitcoin. So, that's something that if you are somebody who has like a brother, parents, friend, girlfriend who wants to get into Bitcoin, but they're scared that they're going to lose it, tell them to get the pubkey or buy them a pubkey. I think it's very inexpensive, and it's a very good way to take custody of your Bitcoin without the risk of losing it. So how to store it? If you got something small, just use a moon wallet. Don't overcomplicate things. Start slow, start small. And if you have a larger balance, get a pubkey, BITKEY, pubkey. And then as time goes by, number 3 is get yourself a cold card. I wouldn't say get it right off the bat because it is fairly complicated if you're somebody who's not really familiar with Bitcoin, how everything works. Just wait on that. But I would still order one today because we have no idea what's going to happen this next year or two in terms of countries clamping down on imports in terms of Bitcoin hardware devices. So get a cold card. Don't set it up yet. Don't put any Bitcoin on it yet, but just get a cold card. And then the 4th one there is, as time goes by, start cashing out some of your ETF proceeds. So let's say you have a bunch of money in the S&P right now, and you move that into the Bitcoin ETF. We see the price go up in the next 12 months. If you put it into the right vehicle, like a TFSA, you don't pay any tax on those gains when you sell it. And then you just start buying Bitcoin with those proceeds slowly over time. Don't do it all at once. Don't overwhelm yourself. Don't create too big of a mountain there, but just slowly start cashing some of those ETFs. Maybe it's $1,000 a month, and start buying Bitcoin with that. And then once you have a sizable balance, that's when, and you've hopefully along the way here, this might be over a year, this might be over 2 years, but you've started to learn some of the best practices within Bitcoin. So that's when you move it to your cold card. You get your cold card set up and you move your Bitcoin to there from your Moon wallet, from your pubkey into your cold card. And then the 5th step there, and I think this is going to be a lot of applicable to everybody here. Kind of those first couple steps were for people who are newer into Bitcoin, but this last one is learn how to take true self-custody of your Bitcoin. And whatever that looks like to you, I want you to set yourself up in a way where regardless of what happened, you still have your Bitcoin. Go through every different scenario of what could happen to you and put a countermeasure there and start doing it. And it'll be same kind of thing. It'll be a progression. And the final step to that is having some part of your Bitcoin stack, whether that's 10, 15, 20% of your Bitcoin in your head. And I know that sounds scary to a lot of people. It sounds scary to me even, but that's what you want to get to. You don't want to do that tomorrow. You don't want to buy a bunch of Bitcoin, set it up on a cold card, memorize your 20 or your 12 words or 24 words, and then just, you're going to be good. You're never going to forget it. But over the next couple of years, start taking steps to get to that point. And if you are somebody who's been here for a while now, you're much more advanced, you're in a very good spot, and you should be accelerating that. Obviously, don't put 100% of your Bitcoin into your head, but make sure that that's your end goal here, is you want to take self-custody of your Bitcoin, not on the ETFs, not on exchanges, not in, custodial wallets, but take self-custody yourself and take a portion of that and memorize the 12 words or 24 words. You could also, don't rely 100% on that. Memorize the 12 words, maybe hide some in the bush somewhere or whatever it looks like to you. But that's kind of the progression that I would go through here, from getting Bitcoin to actually taking true self-custody of your Bitcoin. Because like I said, if you have true self-custody of your Bitcoin, nobody can take it from you. And that's why I titled the show today, Come and Get It. Because even if they know you have Bitcoin, if you do it properly and you get to that final point there's nothing that they can do about it. So come and get it.